What would you say to those who are just kind of overly critiquing the film at this point? You've worked so hard on it.
Like, who has been the most exciting person for you tonight?
Oh my God.
Besides, took the word out of my mouth. Besides.
What an idiot I've been as a young person in this industry who has no filter and no idea what she's doing.
Rachel Zegler, the second the interviewer brought up South Park's brutal parody of her Snow White, she stood up and walked out without saying a single word.
You check under the bed and make sure there's no Disney executives under there.
Oh, not again.
Yeah, only this time, it wasn't just me. They were taking all my favorite people and replacing them with diverse women complaining about the patriarchy.
No, make it more lame. That is exactly what they're doing. And that is why we hate the diversity, equity, and inclusion casting and writing in movies.
You think it's perfectly normal that Carmen is suddenly a black woman?
You probably don't like that Indiana Jones got replaced by a female either, huh? Probably have a problem with Black Spider-Man, too.
No warning, no fake laugh, no damage control. Just pure, I'm done entertaining this energy.
Yeah. Weird. Weird. Weird.
In that moment, she didn't just exit an interview, she detonated it. And the silence she left behind, louder than any roast South Park could write.
Excuse me. Your curtain. Please allow me to help.
Help? From you?
I didn't mean to offend. I just thought you should know that
That I should know what? That some privileged white guy thinks his opinion matters? Get over your entitlement. I'm not some damsel in distress waiting for you to ride in on your high horse.
The interview hadn't even wrapped before the clip hit social media. And you already know what happened next. TikTok got it first.
The last time I had the dream, I was walking down the school hallway. And then I see Butters, and he's like, "Hey, Eric, you want to see what my mom packed me for lunch?" And that's when I start to notice that something's wrong. Everyone I cared about has been systematically replaced. And finally, I want to scream, and I'm like, why are they replacing every single character with someone who is diverse? But then Kennedy's like, it's not our fault, it's because of Kathleen Kennedy. But then Kathleen Kennedy says like, make it more lame. And everyone in town is like, no, please, Kathleen Kennedy, stop ruining everything. But Kathleen Kennedy is all like, put another gay diverse woman in it, make it more lame. And the Disney stock just keeps going down and down and down. And then Bob Iger is all like, no, what's going on with my stock? No, Kathleen Kennedy.
The walkout moment was slowed down, re-edited, soundtracked, memed. Twitter exploded. YouTube drama channels clipped it, looped it, analyzed every second. Was she angry? Embarrassed? Just done? No one could agree. Some fans applauded her, said she was protecting her peace, setting boundaries, refusing to entertain low blows from a cartoon with a history of dragging people for sport. Others? They said, girl, you're in the public eye. This comes with the territory. Some even called it a meltdown. Unprofessional? Too sensitive? A diva moment caught on camera. It was no longer about South Park's joke. It was about how Rachel handled it.
This is no ordinary apple, my dear. It's a magic wishing apple. A wishing apple? You offer it to me freely. In place of the patriarchy, you would have a queen! Not white, but diverse, inclusive, and equitable! I will become the leader I know I can be! All shall love me and despair!
Oh, what has she done to you? Fear not. First love's kiss can break any curse.
Here's the thing. Satire hits different when you're the punchline. And Rachel, she's been the punchline all year. Ever since those Snow White interview clips went viral, the ones where she called the original film weird, outdated, and not a story little girls need anymore, she's been swimming in backlash.
Woke? We're talking about ultra-far leftists, people who believe that men and women are a figment of your imagination, that your money is not your own, that your family is not your own, and that your country is not your own. That's what woke means.
From TikTok takedowns to YouTube essays, the internet has picked her apart like vultures at a fairy tale feast. And South Park, they turned that backlash into a cartoon flamethrower. Their parody version of Snow White wasn't just mocking this character. It was mocking her. Her tone, her attitude, her message, her press tour persona, all of it. So when the interviewer brought it up like it was just a fun pop culture moment, Rachel snapped, not in volume, but in silence. Which brings us to the question I need you to answer. Do you think Rachel Zegler was right to walk out? Or did she just hand her critics exactly what they wanted? Tell me in the comments, because this moment, it says more than any quote ever could.
A company like Disney so up against it. Why? Because it doubled down on DEI.
What's wild is that Rachel's reaction gave us something we never see in a PR tour: raw emotion, a star-breaking character, a moment of unfiltered humanity in a room built to be polished and fake. Because media junkets, they're fake. Everyone's smiling, nodding, repeating the same answers. But this wasn't rehearsed. This was a woman who's been dissected for months finally saying, enough. And yet, here's the danger. In the eyes of the media machine, silence can look like guilt. Walking out can look like weakness. And if you don't explain yourself immediately, the internet fills in the blanks for you. Rachel didn't release a statement, didn't tweet a clapback, didn't post a TikTok reaction. And in 2025, that's rare and risky.
A completely spineless, feckless prince buys his swimsuits at Target.
It's helpful to be able to tuck.
And Snow White is Snow Brown. Now, I don't have a problem with the fact that she's brown. I'm just saying everything about this has to be changed when it doesn't really need to be changed.
Let's be real, this one walkout moment has now overshadowed the movie she was promoting. The entire campaign is now wrapped in, did you see what happened with Rachel? Energy. It's no longer about the film, it's about her, again. And while some see that as her spiraling, others see a woman pushed past her breaking point, caught between public scrutiny and a studio that's letting her take all the hits. Because guess who wasn't roasted in the South Park episode? Disney. The execs, the scriptwriters, the producers who sold her vision, just Rachel.
And there was no tension, there was no drama, there was like nothing in that set. All it was an empty movie.
Let's stop pretending this is new. A young woman gets cast in a massive franchise. She speaks her truth, maybe a little too confidently for the internet's liking. Then comes the backlash, the satire, the takedowns, the cringe edits, the think pieces. And when she doesn't fold, the press keeps poking, waiting for a crack. This isn't about just Rachel Zegler anymore. This is about the media's obsession with watching actresses burn. There's a pattern, a playbook. And Rachel, she just became the latest name on a very long list. It happened to Anne Hathaway, Brie Larson, Jennifer Lawrence, Meghan Markle. Smart, confident women who went from beloved to too much in record time. Not because they failed, but because they dared to talk back. And now here we are again. Rachel walks off an interview, and suddenly she's difficult or dramatic, can't take a joke. But no one's asking the real question: why are we still rewarding media outlets for asking questions designed to break women on camera?
So Disney is another company that's been in hot water. They've been in a downward spiral.
Because let's be real, that South Park question wasn't innocent. It was bait. Carefully dropped into the middle of a promo tour like a match into a fireworks warehouse. The interviewer knew what they were doing. Sure, it was just a reference. But you don't casually bring up a national roast of someone's image, especially when that image has been under attack for months, and expect them to giggle through it. It's a setup, the kind producers love, the kind that makes clips, go viral. And the second Rachel got up, they got exactly what they wanted: a meltdown moment, a soundbite, something spicy enough to trend. The media thrives off of this stuff. And when women don't play along, when they refuse to smile through the digs, the narrative gets flipped. Unprofessional, rude, fragile, never. Boundaried, never human.
And then what do you know? They try all this updating. They get this lousy screenwriter, in my estimation, because I saw this thing and it was awful, like really, really, really bad.
And now, the ripple effect has begun. The walkout moment is already overshadowing her upcoming release. PR insiders are whispering about damage control, agents are doing calls, studio execs are definitely sweating, and the press, they're doubling down, framing the clip as Rachel Zegler snaps, or Rachel storms out after question about cartoon, as if this was just about a cartoon. Let's be clear, this wasn't about South Park, it was about everything. Months of backlash, pressure from every angle, the weight of $1 billion remake, and a public that wants to see strong women crack, because that makes for better views. But you know what's wild? Rachel didn't crack. She walked away. And for a woman in Hollywood, that might be the most rebellious act of all. And I want to know what you think. Do you think Rachel walking out was a sign of weakness or a power move that the industry wasn't ready for? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Because how we respond to this says everything about who we protect and who we punish in public.
When people say woke, What they really mean is they're describing a worldview that hates you, that hates everything America stands for.
Let's zoom out. Because while Rachel's catching heat, guess who's quiet? Disney. As usual, this is the second time they've left her dangling. First, during the backlash over her Snow White interviews. They said nothing. Now, after this. Interview storm, still no comment. No support. No, we stand with our lead actress. And that silence, it speaks volumes. It says, let her take the hits. It says, we want the controversy without the accountability. It says, this is your problem, not ours. And girl, that's cold. Because Rachel didn't write the script. She didn't greenlight the remake. She didn't decide to turn Snow White into a Gen Z manifesto. All she did was show up and promote what she was told to sell. And now that it's backfired, she's the one getting roasted by cartoons and podcasts and press junkets, while the studio sits in their ivory tower polishing apples.
And I think Snow White has become the pinnacle of this. You know, this is going to go down in history as an asterisk next to Rachel Zegler's name, Rachel Zegler.
Here's the part they don't want you to see. Rachel walking off wasn't a meltdown. It was a message. It said, I'm done being your storyline. It said, I'm not going to let a cartoon define me. It said, if this interview is going to use my trauma for views, I'm leaving. And in a culture that's addicted to watching women break, her refusal to break is revolutionary. Because sometimes walking away doesn't mean you're losing control. It means you're taking it back.
I don't really care about that. What I care about is how she hated the story because it needed to be wokeified, and she hated the fact that there was going to be a Prince Charming of some sort, and they needed to update it.
Let's not pretend Rachel Zegler's fan base was in perfect harmony before this happened. Ever since her Snow White press tour started, the vibes have been tense. Some fans loved the bold takes, saying the original movie was outdated, calling out creepy tropes, flipping the script on the classic princess. They saw Rachel as a Gen Z disruptor, confident, smart, unbothered, and done with fairy tales that revolve around men. But others, not so much. They were side-eyeing her from day one. Some, Disney diehards, felt betrayed. They didn't want a feminist rebrand of their childhood memories. They wanted magic, nostalgia, and true love's kiss. So the second those interview clips went viral, the divide got sharp. Suddenly, Rachel wasn't just an actress. She was a lightning rod. And after the South Park episode, that divide turned into a full-blown fandom fracture.
So the primary suffering is being sent in by my company to watch a children's movie as a single man, like 2 p.m. on a Thursday. That was the first part that was a little bit weird, but I was basically the only person in the theater.
Here's how it broke down. TikTok lit up with creators defending Rachel. POV edits, deep dives, hot takes, people calling the South Park parody low-hanging fruit, and the press junket question journalistic bait. The walkout? Iconic. A boundary moment. A refusal to perform for clicks. But then there was YouTube, the land of the long-form skeptics. Think, 30-minute breakdowns with titles like Rachel Zegler's PR Meltdown or Why She's Losing the Public. These videos weren't just reacting, they were building narratives. That she's ungrateful, not media-ready. A liability. One side was yelling, she's protecting her peace. The other was screaming, she can't take criticism. And Rachel, caught in the middle. Again, this moment, more than anything, confirmed what her critics had been circling around for months, that Rachel Zegler is officially being branded as too much, too outspoken, too confident, too opinionated, too online, and we've seen this before. It's a soft cancellation, not loud enough to tank a career, but just loud enough to make every future opportunity feel riskier. Studios start wondering, will she be a PR headache? Publicists whisper, can we spin her into something softer? Suddenly, every appearance, every post, every facial expression gets interpreted through a lens of, is she being difficult? Again, that's the real power of internet narrative. It doesn't end careers, it shapes them. And here's what's wild. Rachel's stans, they're doing more to protect her image than her actual team. They're posting receipts, defending every clip, dragging interviewers in the comments, remixing walkout footage into power edits. Some even started a campaign. Respect Rachel, pushing the idea that women shouldn't have to laugh off every joke at their expense just to stay likable. But this fandom labor has a dark side too, because when fans have to become your crisis, PR, something's broken in the system. Where's her studio? Her management? Her publicist? Anyone? She walked out of a press interview and got handed to the wolves, and the only people throwing her lifelines are teenagers on TikTok. That's not fan loyalty. That's damage control that never should have been necessary. Here's what's happening now, right in front of us. Rachel Zegler is being rewritten in real time. Not by Hollywood, not by critics, by us, the audience. She's no longer just the girl from West Side Story, not even just the new Snow White. She's a symbol now of everything you love or hate about modern celebrity. She's that actress who walked out. She's that Gen Z girl who couldn't take a joke, or the woman who finally said no to the circus. And depending on what platform you live on, you'll see a completely different Rachel. It's giving PR multiverse, and no one's in control of the script anymore. Here's the part no one wants to admit, especially not out loud in studio boardrooms. When a young actress becomes controversial, Hollywood doesn't blacklist her. They don't tweet about it. They don't stage a dramatic takedown. They just stop calling. The roles slow down. The offers get quieter. Suddenly, she's not top of the list anymore. She's a risk. Someone brings up the walkout in a meeting and it's met with a shrug and a quiet, let's go with someone safer. And that's what's at stake for Rachel Zegler right now. Not because she's not talented, not because she did anything scandalous, but because in an industry obsessed with control, she did the one thing you're not supposed to do. She walked away from the narrative. Let's talk about the most dangerous word in a woman's Hollywood file. Difficult. You hear it whispered about actresses who speak up, who ask too many questions, who challenge the press, or, God forbid, and say they're uncomfortable and walk off set. It's vague, it's toxic, and it sticks. That word has sidelined more women than scandal ever has. And right now, that's the label Rachel's teetering on. Not because she threw a tantrum and she didn't. Not because she was rude, she wasn't. But because she refused to laugh along with a joke at her expense. Because she walked out instead of sitting pretty. For some execs, that's all it takes. Before all this, Rachel was on track to be the face of a new generation. Spielberg's West Side Story made her a breakout star. Snow White was meant to launch her into global fame. She had the looks, the voice, the message. She was marketable, safe, a studio dream. But now she's trending for the wrong reasons. And the roles being whispered about her now are no longer lead in a Marvel movie or next musical sensation. They're that girl with baggage. They're will she play ball? And that's heartbreaking. Because the truth is, Rachel Zegler is one of the most talented young actresses working right now, full stop. But in an industry that punishes women for having boundaries, talent isn't always enough. And it's not just casting directors. Brands are watching. Streaming platforms are watching. PR firms are definitely watching. Because the new game isn't just about acting, it's about being safe for partnerships. And when your name trends next to South Park, Walkout, and Meltdown in the same week, that's not what advertisers call low risk. You can be right, you can be principled, you can be powerful, but if you're not palatable, you might not get the gig. It's ugly, but it's real. And unless her team turns this moment into a reframe fast, this walkout could linger in every pitch meeting she walks into for the next 5 years. So what now? Rachel has two choices, and neither is easy. Option 1, stay silent, let the media write the ending, and risk becoming the actress who couldn't handle press. Option 2, take control, speak out, own the moment, be unapologetically real about the pressures she's under and what she was actually feeling when she walked out. Because here's the truth, people will forgive a bad moment. What they don't forget is a bad response. She doesn't need to cry on Instagram. She doesn't need to apologize. But she does need to show she's not afraid of the conversation, because if she doesn't, Hollywood will assume she can't handle it. And girl, we know she can. Let's close this phase with what no one else is saying. Rachel's walkout isn't just a celebrity moment. It's a mirror for the industry, for fans, for every woman who's been told to smile through disrespect. Because what if her reaction wasn't the problem? What if it's the system that expects women to swallow satire with a grin? So now I'm asking you one last time this phase. Should Rachel double down and own the moment, or pull back and let it fade? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want your version of this ending. So what's the ending here? It's not a fairy tale. It's not a cancellation. It's not a redemption arc written by PR. It's a reset for how we talk about fame, for how we talk about boundaries, for how we let women control their own stories, even when they're messy, emotional, unscripted. And if Rachel's walkout taught us anything, it's this. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is walk away. If this breakdown opened your eyes or your heart, Drop a like, hit that subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss what happens next. Because this isn't just celebrity news. This is culture in motion.